Okay, so to go along with my Godzilla month, primarily the Millennium version of Godzilla, I decided to do a whole series of verses. Now the weird thing about Godzilla is he's fought so many creatures. Then it was, do I take some of his villains and have them fight other characters? Or do I just have Godzilla fight different characters? So my first thought was, when I'm thinking of people who have also fought lots of monsters, the list actually on that side is kind of small. You've got essentially the Megazords, Voltron, Ultraman, and you have other characters kind of like that. So my first thought was, might start with Ultraman. Now, I've done some light research on Ultraman. I have seen quite a lot of his. Okay, I was a fan of the 1960s TV series. There was something so great about essentially seeing a guy in essentially a form-fitting robot suit, with a helmet, not the overly clunky American robot suit, but a spandex bodysuit, battling giant monsters. There's something so bizarre and awesome at the exact same time. So as always, even though these are larger things, I'm still going to use the exact same, criteria. Where you have your intelligence, fighting ability, speed, strength, durability, and vulnerability, energy projection. Dang it, I always forget this. I have to go through again. Intelligence, fighting, speed, strength, durability, invulnerability, energy projection, versatility, and X factor. There we go, got them all. Again, the problem with doing this in one take. So, if you don't know, Godzilla is referred to as the king of the monsters, and he's been pretty much going strong in Japan from 1950s, I want to say. If you're an American fan and you've only seen the two American Godzilla movies, you really need to see almost any other one. America more or less had two Godzilla movies. I think 1985, and then the really, really horrible one that was kind of like Jurassic Park, where Godzilla did not have radioactive breath, was smaller, and was able to hide in New York City. So we're actually going to go with the Millennium version. If you're not familiar with Godzilla, Godzilla runs in different series, where you have the initial ones, then you have the ones from the 80s to I think the late 90s, and then the Millennium series, which is from roughly 2000 to I think 2007. So, let's get started. We'll go off first off with intelligence. Godzilla, giant radioactive lizard. Ultraman is 20,000 years old, but 20 years in Ultra years. And his human counterpart is a scientist. So you've got actually a really impressive and fairly intelligent creature on one side, and a lizard brain on the other. So give a point to Ultraman. Fighting ability. Again, you have an actual, very decently well-trained fighter on one side, versus animalistic brawler on the other. Speed. If you've ever seen Ultraman, Ultraman moves very fast. Good jumping ability, and he can fly. Godzilla, yeah, he's not the fastest guy. Strength. I will say that Ultraman does have is a very strong individual. He doesn't have anywhere near the strength to match Godzilla. Invulnerability. Okay, Godzilla, by the time the Millennium series comes around, is pretty much invulnerable to tanks, maser cannons. He can take an awful lot of abuse before you even start to do anything beyond just irritate him. Where Ultraman does not have that much of a natural durability, natural invulnerability. Durability. During the Millennium series, they've actually said that Godzilla regenerates. In one of the movies, they actually have I think they call it RG1. And as they're working on it, it regenerates at a ridiculously fast rate. So damage done to Godzilla is constantly repairing itself. He's kind of like Wolverine, if Wolverine was a giant lizard. That's a very impressive ability to recover at an enormous rate. The fight goes on too long for for Ultraman, he can run low on power and then fall into a dormant state. So you've got Godzilla, who can fight virtually forever, and a character who put up a good fight, but over time is going to weaken. It's got to go to Godzilla. Energy projection. This is just raw, flat-out energy projection. That radioactive breath has destroyed everything. If you fight Godzilla, chances are his radioactive breath is going to do you in. Versatility. Has to go to Ultraman. Ultraman has got an array of different beams and blasts and pulses, as well as energy rings and halos, so he has a lot of abilities at his disposal. So again, energy projection is the raw damage, where versatility is the amount of different tools you actually bring to the game. So now it comes down to that overall and important X factor. X factor encompasses anything not covered in the previous eight criteria. And with that one, I'm going to give the edge, because it's currently tied at 4-4, to Godzilla. Godzilla's referred to the King of Monsters because he defeats everybody. It doesn't matter who or what you are. Godzilla's defeated super versions of himself. If you are getting into a fight with Godzilla, you're probably going to lose. He's defeated multiple enemies simultaneously. And even while taking on something like Ghidorah or Monster Zero, he was able to actually defeat Ghidorah. And then they brought Ghidorah back as Mecha Ghidorah. So, similar sort of three-headed dragon. But this one also had a mechanical head to it. And Godzilla was still able to defeat Ghidorah. It doesn't matter how many more moves or abilities you bring in against Godzilla. Godzilla is just going to wear you down. I don't care if you move fast. He's fought things that fly. Godzilla doesn't fly. You'd almost think, oh man, it's Mothra. Or, oh, it's Rodan. It's not like I can jump in the air or anything. I can, but I can't get very far. Breath. 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 I just have to hit you, or fine. Breath. Ha! I hit you. Get up closer. Breath. And then you explode. And that's it. So Ultraman will put up a very, very good fight. However, only thing Godzilla needs to do is connect at least once with the breath, which should be enough to stun Ultraman to probably get another good coup de grace with everyone's favorite radioactive breath.